This presentation discusses the question, when should I go to law school? It's important to note from the beginning that there is no right answer to this question. And if you see a path forward for yourself, that's the path that you should take. For those of you who know that you want to go to law school, you're eager to begin, and you feel like any time spent doing something other than law school would be a waste of time, then by all means go to law school. That being said, there are major advantages of having worked first. So first, from an admissions perspective, schools prefer people who have taken time off for a number of reasons. This is just based on the number of applicants with full-time work experience that top law schools accept. In T14 schools, usually around 80% of an incoming class has had full-time work experience, whereas if you looked at the general applicant pool, fewer than 80% of those people would have full-time work experience. Another admissions advantage of taking time off is you have your entire senior year. This allows most people to boost their GPA. Typically by senior year, people have figured out which classes are hard, which classes are easy, and how to get an A. Another advantage of having your senior year is you often can get better letters of recommendation. You have access to smaller classes, you have established relationships with professors, so having that extra time allows you to get a better letter of recommendation. You also want to look at this question of when do I go to law school from a career perspective. For anyone interested in practicing at the intersection of law and something, or in some niche field of law, you probably want to get that something before you go to law school, right? Law schools are law schools. They will give you all the law that you need, but they can't give you the other thing. So if you're interested in using your law degree to reform education, you should probably be a teacher before you go to law school. If you're interested in working as a patent attorney and specializing in code, then work as a computer programmer before you go to law school. There's also a distinction here in public versus private sectors. Taking time off will help you in the private sector. That being said, if you look at the field of big law, top law firms, those firms need people who can read very fast, who can stay up real late. They are less concerned with whether or not you have full-time work experience. Again, it's not that they aren't concerned, they're less concerned. In the public sector, whether that's for a nonprofit or for the government, you will quickly be in a position of responsibility, and you'll very quickly interface with clients. Those two things put together mean that nonprofit legal organizations and many government organizations want people who demonstrated that they handle responsibility well in a full-time position. Many people who end up going into big law, into the private sector, actually wanted to practice something more public, criminal defense, environmental law, but the lack of experience meant that they couldn't get a job in that sector. Finally, I think you can look at this from a life perspective. Once you go to law school, you'll likely be a lawyer for a long time. So if there's something else you're interested in doing first, absolutely go for it. People often ask, okay, well, if I take time off, what should I do? And the short answer is you can do anything. Law schools are interested in you succeeding with your time off, and success can be defined in many different ways. First and foremost, you don't need to be a paralegal if you take time off. Being a paralegal is a great way to get exposure to certain types of law, but it's not necessarily going to help you get into law school. Really what you need to do is develop transferable skills. You could do that in a number of ways. You could do that working for a think tank, developing research and writing skills. You could do that touring with your band, developing performance skills. Some people also might want to demonstrate commitment to a cause. So if you want to work as a public defender or as an immigration attorney, these are notoriously difficult fields to work in. If you haven't worked full time, say as an investigator for a public defender, or if you haven't worked full time doing some kind of direct service, it might be harder to make the case that you can handle working in such a difficult field. And again, you don't need to work for a law office necessarily, but you might want to do something that demonstrates a commitment to humanity in general on a full-time basis. The final thing that you could do is gain industry experience. So if you think that ultimately you want to practice in law and another industry, law as it relates to healthcare or law as it relates to entertainment, then you could gain experience in the entertainment industry, healthcare industry, really in any capacity. And that would then allow you to move back into that industry more easily as a lawyer. The bottom line is there's no right time to go to law school. Many people go straight from undergrad into law school and have happy, successful careers, but there are many advantages to working full time.